perfect. Before we go into the story you're about to hear, because it really won't make any sense unless we understand each other, we must be clear on what we mean when we say perfect. Because of sarcasm and misuse, the word perfect has come to be misunderstood. A long, long time ago, before the word perfect was actually spoken, but the idea was conceived, it used to mean as real can be. That's what it meant when God spoke it, and from him it came very close to the word good, like very good.
It's important to understand that because John Cope thought he was perfect, but not the way God meant it. John's hair was perfect, his clothes were perfect, his car was perfect. Everything in John's life was perfect. And anything that wasn't perfect, he simply let go. That's what he did with various jobs, clothes, cars, and his wife Madeline. If something just didn't cut it, he simply let it go, like picking lint off a silk tie and letting it float away. But estranged wives didn't float away quite as well, as cleanly as one might wish.
When have you ever known me to miss an appointment, Madeline? Answer me. When have you ever known me to miss an appointment? Exactly. Never. Listen to me. I'll be by the house to pick up Sandra in 1 hour. I expect her to be in her coat at the door, and I will pull into the driveway. She'll stay with me until 2:30 p.m. Christmas Day, tomorrow. And I expect to have her for the full time allowed by law. Do you understand legal separation, Madeline? I have my rights. I will bring her back promptly to you at the house, 3:30 p.m. Expect us. What? Yes, I know what doll she wants. An American Sweetheart doll. Yes, I've got it. I've called all over town and found the one store that still has them. And I've had them set it aside. I've got this under control, Madeline. I'm parking in the street in front of the store right now. Goodbye.
With that, John threw his cell phone on his car seat and hurried into a small specialty store in an older, somewhat run-down part of town. He was greeted by a harried woman who was making towards the front door to lock up the shop.
Oh, good evening, sir. I'm sorry, I was about to close up.
Well, you're lucky you didn't. I called 15 minutes ago to let you know that I would arrive a few minutes past your closing time at 6 o'clock. It's 4 minutes past 6. I believe that 4 constitutes a legitimate instance of a few.
Yes, sir.
Now, where's my daughter's gift? The American Sweetheart doll.
It's right here, and you're lucky. It's the last one we had. They are so popular. It's all wrapped and ready.
Unwrap it.
Excuse me?
I wouldn't buy a gift without inspecting it first. Unwrap it.
So the sales lady began to reluctantly but carefully unwrap the gift. Impatiently, John grabbed the package and ripped off all the wrapping paper.
I don't have all the time in the world. My daughter is expecting me.
John took the doll out of the package and just stared at it.
What is this? Is this a joke?
I don't...
What? Where is my daughter's doll?
That is the doll you ordered,
Listen,
sir.
I did not order that doll for my daughter.
I have the sales slip right here. And F. Stevenson ordered it on December 22nd and checked with us yesterday at 3 p.m. that it would be ready and wrapped.
My secretary ordered the doll. I told her explicitly to order doll number 530-6612.
Yes, sir, that is the doll.
It is not. My daughter Sandra is not going to ask for this doll. Look at it. It's got brown hair and brown eyes. It's got freckles across its nose.
It's this year's American Sweetheart, sir.
John ceased silently for a moment. Then he said to the sales clerk,
It should be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed American Sweetheart. Do you know what a hero is?
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know what...
A hero. I am my little girl's hero. A hero is someone who always brings home the prize. Do you think that this is the prize? Do you think that this is what I'm supposed to give my daughter? Tomorrow is all about giving. My being able to give my daughter the prize I bring home. That's what Christmas is all about.
I'm sorry, sir. It is the doll that was ordered. It's Christmas Eve, and we're out of anything I could suggest as a substitute. I am truly sorry.
Perfect. I can't believe this. You will never get my business again.
Yes, sir. I'm very sorry.
And so John Cope found himself out on the street, in front of the toy store, fuming and fussing. But that was before he realized that he did not have his keys in his pocket. Then he began growling, because that's when he saw the keys inside his car, in the ignition. Then he started to howl.
Oh, man.
But even then, he didn't attract much attention. It wasn't until he reached inside his coat for his phone that he began to attract attention. For John realized that his cell phone was comfortably settled on the genuine leather seat on the inside of his car. He howled louder. Then he turned back toward the toy store. But it was already dark. The door was closed and locked. Then, John lost it.
Sadie and Max lived right next door to the toy store. The store was at 145 Sandy Hill Boulevard. Sadie and Max were at 145A Sandy Hill Boulevard. They'd even printed out a card to prove it and hung it over the double-wide cardboard box where they slept. They could not help hearing all the caterwauling noise echoing down their alley. Not liking to hear any of God's creatures in such despair, they came out to see how they could help. John was, well, unprepared for their assistance.
What's all the ruckus?
Please don't hurt me.
We're not going to hurt you, mister. We're just wondering what all the noise is about.
Oh my gosh, are you two homeless people?
Homeless, Max? Are we homeless people?
Sadie, I'd never leave you homeless. We're just living without cultural trappings.
Look at there, Max. Look at his doll. What a lovely doll.
Please, don't hurt me. Here, take it. You can have it if you just don't hurt me.
I'm not taking your doll, mister. It's Christmas. You should keep your doll.
It's not my doll. It's my daughter Sandra's doll. Her Christmas present. But
You were ready to give away Sandra's present on Christmas Eve? What kind of person are you? Come on, Sadie, this is already excuse for...
Now, Max, don't be cross. It's Christmas. Our young man here is just having a tough moment. Isn't that right? What's your name, fella?
excuse me,
Name?
Mr. Cope.
Oh, okay. People call you Mister. Is that it? I heard of a woman once who named one of her sons Senator because she always wanted one in the family. But you're the first Mister I ever...
Listen, no, I mean, my name is not Mr. I just don't know. I don't think that we should be familiar.
Uppity, sorry, excuse for what do you think you're too good to tell this lady your name, Sonny? Is that it?
No, please, I'm just trying to get some help. I mean, my name is John.
John Cope. John Cope. JC.
Can you just please tell me where I can find the closest payphone?
JC. He's JC, Max. Like the big guy. Mr. JC himself coming to grace our neighborhood here for Christmas Eve.
I just need a payphone. I've locked my cell phone and my keys in the car. Please.
Really? Well, Mr. All-Powerful, Mr. Almighty, Mr. JC, they took out all the payphones in this section of the city. How'd you vote on that referendum?
I just want a phone. Do I have to tell you how I vote now?
You got a lot to learn about people, Mr. JC. You got people back where you come from?
People?
Max, there's still a payphone available to anybody just about a block over that way.
Are you sure? I'm not doubting you.
Just go right down to the corner, Mr. All-Powerful, and turn left. They got left turns where you come from. Just turn left and go 1 block. Can you handle that?
It's all well lighted, JC. Just go 1 block left to the Temple of Saints awaiting the triumphant return and returning Son of God Incorporated.
The what?
It says shoes in 4-foot letters over the door. You can't miss it.
Shoes?
They got shoes where you come from, Mr. Almighty? I believe they do. I can see yours. It's right there at the end of your legs.
It's a storefront church, JC. Max is right. You won't miss it. There's a payphone right inside the front door, and they'll be happy to let you use it.
But what about my car?
I thought you needed a payphone.
Your car will be just fine where it is, JC. You go make your call. Your car will be just the way it is when you get back to it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Can I give you something? My watch? Some money?
They don't have people back where he comes from, Sadie. Let's go. Sorry, ungrateful, thoughtless.
It's okay, JC. Go on. We're fine. Go make your phone call.
So John hurried off, and spotted the Temple of Saints awaiting the triumphant rapture and returning Son Church of God Incorporated. But as he came up the street, two young men stepped up behind him from the shadows. Before he could respond, they were all over him. John had never felt so helpless. His arms were locked by one of them from behind, while the other was emptying his pockets.
Just then, a heavy metal door opened. It was the front door of the church.
And Brother Jackson stepped out to take a look around.
Brother Jackson had learned that some of the older ladies of the community could not open the big door on their own. He found out that some would stand tugging on the handle without knocking until they were just worn out. So Brother Jackson took it upon himself to make sure that the door opened every few minutes. He called it his Ministry of Door.
Brother Jackson stood 6'3" and weighed an impressive 256 pounds, much of it muscle. He had played tackle in high school, tackle in college. Now he supplemented his income as a firefighter in Louisville by being a bouncer in an upscale nightclub in Highland Park.
When the door opened and Brother Jackson stepped out, it took only a moment before he and John were the only people on the street.
Brother Jackson had not really moved from the doorway, and John just stood watching his attackers disappear around the corner. His pockets were turned inside out, and his mouth hung open. But his American sweetheart doll was still in his hand.
Brother Jackson opened the door wider, and John opened his mouth wider. Finally, a sound came out.
Phone?
Brother Jackson nodded and cocked his head over to the left. John didn't move. Brother Jackson motioned with the biggest hand John had ever seen on the end of an arm. But John still didn't move. Now the cold breeze started to make its way up Brother Jackson's pant legs.
So Brother Jackson just reached out and grabbed John by the front of his overcoat and lifted him through the door with one hand. And John made another sound.
Hey!
Brother Jackson carried John over to the phone.
Well, actually, to the end of the line for the phone. Over the noise in the back of the room, John could barely hear someone speaking from the front of the room. It seemed that the preacher, Reverend Andrew Priest, had just let out the challenge to
fill the room from the highways and the byways, call the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. Gather in all those who don't think they are invited to the party, and let them know that there is an open door and a place for them at the table of the Lord.
So all the sisters were calling their husbands and telling them to get their raggedy old selves down here pronto. It was Christmas Eve, after all.
John tried to wait patiently. He tried to explain that he just needed to call AAA and it would only take a minute. But the ladies, while listening to all of those ahead of them, were starting to feel a bit competitive in their fervor for the Lord. They were expressing that fervor by showing just how many more people they could get to come through the number of calls they had to make.
Dispirited, John turned around only to find that Brother Jackson was still accompanying him. As he looked up past the shoulders of the large, smiling man, John realized he hadn't said thank you, but nothing came out of his mouth.
On the other hand, Brother Jackson figured that John would be his contribution to the gathering. So he handed John a hymn book and led him and his Asian American sweetheart doll to a seat in the only row available, the front. It was from there that John began to hear Reverend Andrew clearly.
My friends, I'm not going to shout at you. I want you to listen to me. So I'm going to speak to you like if we're in my own living room, like friends talking about their dearest memories and hopes. I want us to talk together, consider together the greatness of God. It is almost Christmas. It is almost time for the celebration. And you know that Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. Now, some people would think that that's because giving puts them in a position of power. They would think that power is what makes one the giver, and they would be right.
At this moment, John felt like Reverend Andrew was looking right at him.
One reason that it is more blessed to give than to receive is because it demonstrates our power and our strength. We are able, we are the providers, we are strong, and we meet the need of others. Now, some people would think that the blessedness comes from being the hero, and they would be right. Heroes give. But when we are the receivers, we are in need. When we are the hero, we are looking for the man with the answers, the one who saves us from being in want, from living in need, from being lost. The hero is the source of what is right and good.
John was sure Reverend Andrew was speaking to him even if he wasn't looking right at him.
Now, I'll tell you what is funny. Some people think that they can claim that position of hero. They figure that just because they're giving some little Christmas gift tomorrow morning, that they are suddenly the giver. Some people just can't get it through their thick souls that they are the receivers. All of us, we all are the receivers. Here we are waking up every morning, breathing and moving and just plain living, and the whole while acting like we did that all on our own, not realizing that we are the receivers of each good gift. Even the chance to give to others is a gift to us.
John could feel his face getting red and beads of sweat on the back of his neck. He kept wanting to put the dial down, but it just didn't seem like he could let it go.
Christmas is a time of giving, my friends, but God is the giver, and we are the receivers. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And at Christmas, it is God who is blessed. It is God who gave the Son, Jesus. It is God who gives us life through Jesus. It is God who gives life to all who receive Jesus. It is God who has power, has the power. It is God who is the hero. It is God who is the source of all that is good and right. There is a God, my friends, and you are not him.
Just then, the choir broke into a song, and John sat, puzzling Brother Andrew's words. Eventually, the offering buckets were passed. John, unfamiliar with the workings of a church service, figured that the passing bucket was simply the price of admission. He reached for his wallet, preparing to drop in a 10. That's when he remembered that his wallet had been lifted by the hooligans in the street, and then he had nothing to give.
The crowd stood up to sing a carol, so John stood with them. Then he realized that this might be a good time to snag the phone, or at least make an exit. But as he looked around, he saw that the storefront church had filled with people, and he was surprised at their diversity. There were black people and white people, Asian people, people he couldn't identify, which made him feel like he shouldn't be trying. There were little children and old people, people who were dancing, and people who couldn't quite get to their feet.
John made his way to the back of the room. There was a space back there for a table, and it was covered with Christmas cookies and sweet rolls, a coffee pot, and a huge punch bowl. Standing behind it was a woman and a little girl. John stopped and looked at the table. It was then he realized that he was very hungry, and that the food looked good. Then he saw the little girl eyeing the American Sweetheart doll, and he looked down at it himself. As he lifted it, he watched the little girl's eyes follow. Unsure of what to do next, he said,
Would you like this? I'd like to give this to you.
But the little girl just shook her head and smiled broadly. Her mother leaned over the table to John.
She's hoping to receive one just like it under our tree tomorrow.
The woman winked discreetly at him, and as John looked back at the little girl was holding up a cup of coffee for him. John simply received it.
Thank you. That smells terrific. Thank you.
John glanced over to where Brother Jackson was standing by the door. He also noticed that there was now no one at the payphone. He walked over to it, ready to make his call, but as he stood at the phone with the receiver in his hand, he realized he no longer had coins in his pocket. As he stood staring at the phone, a large hand reached past him and deposited 50 cents.
Thank you. I really appreciate everything that you've done.
Then John instinctively dialed a number he knew by heart, and on the other end, a voice he knew by heart answered.
Hello?
Madeline?
John?
I'm sorry. I needed to call and let you know what happened.
It's okay, John. I already know.
You already know? How can you know?
Sadie and Max called me. They're waiting at your car. They were leaving it, but then they thought they should stay until you got back. You should get back there. They're a little worried about you.
I don't understand.
Well, it sounds like you got into a bit of trouble.
A lot of trouble.
It sounds like you maybe found the help you needed. Are you okay?
I guess. I am okay. I feel like I've been run through a car wash, and I'm still trying to take everything in that's happened. How's Sandra?
Well, I put her to bed. I hope you don't mind, but...
No, that's good. Listen, I'll just come by in the morning. Why don't you just let her wake up at home and have Christmas there with you, and I'll call before I come over.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I will call.
Don't call. Just come by. The door will be unlocked.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
John gathered his American sweetheart doll up under his arm and headed back out into the night. Brother Jackson walked silently beside him down to the corner and watched as John walked the rest of the way to his car. From a block away, John could see Sadie and Matt standing out in the cold next to his car.
Hello, JC. Did you find your payphone?
Yeah, I don't understand. My wife said that you had talked with her. How did you know where to call?
We used your phone, the one in your car.
I don't understand. How did you get my phone?
The door was unlocked, JC.
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta try the door, JC. I guess you never thought of that now, did you?
Max just pulled on the handle and it opened right up. So he got your phone out and, ooh, it's so fancy. He pressed some button and a little screen came up. And then I remembered your daughter's name was Sandra, so we pushed the button. And then your wife answered.
Yep. We told her what a dope you've been. You should have heard her laugh. But she was kindly about it, too. We asked if we could just watch after the car until you got back, so that's what we done.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I don't even know how long it's been. I'm sorry. Why didn't you just get in the car? It's freezing out here.
Well, our clothes could use a good wash before they'd be okay to sit in your car. Besides, we're used to the weather. And while we were waiting for you, we had a nice chat about how much we have to be thankful for.
Thankful? Please, let me give you something. You've been so...
We don't need anything right now, thank you. We've received just about enough of everything that's important.
So now, why don't you head home and we'll all be all right?
Home. I left my wife and daughter. I'm living in a furnished apartment. I've got no one to talk to and no one to see. I have no home. I've got absolutely no place in the world to call home.
Oh, so you're one of them homeless people we've been hearing about.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I feel like I need something.
JC, whoa there, boy. Maybe it's time you met the real one.
The real one?
The real one. The real JC. Once you meet him, once you know where you stand with Jesus, then that sort of squares everything else away too.
Yeah, I think I might have heard something about that back there. There is a God, and I'm not him.
Now you're talking. That's perfect, JC. Perfect.
Perfect?
Perfect. You know what I mean by that, don't you?
Well,
Perfect. That means as real can be. Everything working just the way it's supposed to work. It means knowing your place in the scheme of things. There is a God.
And I'm not him.
Perfect. You're on your way.
You think so?
Come on, JC, you've got nothing else to do tonight. Now you've got your choice. We can go Baptist or we could go storefront. Either way, it's warm and there'll be coffee and something to eat.
Come on, JC. Lock up your car this time.